Cindy, have you ever been in a sales call when you're tempted to stretch the truth, maybe? Or drop a big customer name? Or repeat something that you may have half heard from your manager? Or even talk about a product that may be coming to market? You know, the moment when we're under pressure to sound like the expert, but deep down, we're not 100% sure it's right.
Yeah, here's the thing. If your customer finds out you exaggerated, game over. Trust is gone. And in sales, or whether you're in medical device sales, real estate, financial services, any type of sales, your credibility is your currency. So once you lose it, it's almost impossible to earn it back.
So today we're going to talk about a specific example that Cindy and I know all too well. And we don't want you guys to do the same thing. We're going to break down why it happens, how to avoid it, and best ways to build trust the right way. Because charisma might open doors, but credibility, that's what's going to keep them open. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Secrets in Medical Device Sales, brought to you by the girls of Grit. And we are bringing you guys a really great episode today. I mean, all of our episodes are awesome, Cindy. So I don't even know why I say that, because I'm like, oh, I love this topic. But like, for real, today's topic is super fun and good and important.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Every day when we are out working and things happen, because remember, Lisa and I both work all the time. We are in the field. We are in hospitals. We are speaking to doctors. This is something we do every day. And sometimes something will trigger a memory. And Lisa and I had this conversation, which is why this episode today is important. We talked about something that happened to Lisa years ago, and we thought this is so important that every rep needs to hear this, because you can lose business if you're not going to listen to this. You can very quickly lose all the hard work you put into going somewhere. And the way to lose this business, hint, hint, is extremely preventable. This isn't like something that's just going to happen and out of your control.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to say what it's about. I just want, Lisa, can you just dive into the story that we talked about so none of our listeners will lose their business in 30 seconds?
And isn't it funny that we get all of our material from the things that we see out in the field? I mean, literally,
So
these are things that we have either gone through ourselves or we see and observe on a daily basis. And we're like, oh my gosh, we've got to talk about this, because it's like, that's our job, is here to support you guys and give you all the do's and don'ts of medical device sales, women in medical device sales, and women in general in male dominated industries. And so today, so it was spawned by something, you guys, that I was telling Cindy about, that it happened a little while ago. And I can't remember why I was thinking about it. Maybe it's just because I saw the rep again. I really can't remember now, but okay. So here's the deal. So this happened a little while ago. I was going into the OR to go do a case with one of my surgeons, and he's like a big doctor. You know, everybody knows him. He's a podium speaker. He's a big time guy. And he had just finished a case with another rep, and totally different, like not in my industry or not in my specific situation of what I was selling at the time. And he was like, Lisa, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, listen, he goes, I know you know this rep. He's like, the rep is brand new. You know, I feel really bad for the rep. He's like, but Lisa, I cannot stand it when reps do this. And I was like, what? And he's like, listen, he goes, this kid was peddling a new device. And he's like, the kid started spouting off to me all the doctors that are using the device. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, but you know me, Lisa. He's like, I'm super connected. And I'm like, yes, I do. I know you're super, I know you know everybody. And he's like, well, what do you think I did? And I go, you called his bluff, didn't you? And he's like, I sure did. And he goes, guess what? He goes, every doctor that I called that he name dropped, this kid was name dropping, you know, Dr. So-and-so, all these doctors. And he goes, Lisa, what he didn't realize is I know them from the industry. We talk, we share the podium together. Some of these guys I've known from like fellowship and training and med school. He's like, so I'm really good friends with them. And oh, by the way, I have their cell phones. He goes, so Lisa, it was in the middle of a case and this kid's like spouting off to me that all these doctors are using this new product. And he's like, really? He goes, you know what? We're just going to call him. And all of a sudden he goes, I can see the kid go, oh gosh. And so he picks up his phone, Cindy, And he starts dialing the physicians one by one on their cell phones. And of course, they all pick up because they're all friends and they all know each other. And they're like, hey, what's up, Dr. Smith? And he's like, hey, so I got this kid in here and he's selling this device and he told me that you guys use it all the time. And he's like, Lisa? Every single one of those physicians were like, I've never even heard of the product before. I don't even know what company you're talking about. What are you talking about? And he goes, I called the kid's bluff. And he's like, that really irritates me because he's like, here you are, a person in a very valued position selling for a company that's, either a small or a large company, and you're spouting off information that you haven't even verified. You're going off of what somebody has told you. And you are literally going to say that to somebody like me. And he's like, and I don't even have to be a guy that's connected. I could be a brand new doc out there. He goes, but the thing is we all know when you're not telling the truth. We all know when you're full of things. He's like, why would you come into this specific industry where knowledge is key and trustworthy and loyalty is all part of the job and you lie? He's like, why would you do that? And I was like, wow, man, that's really sad. I'm really sorry. He's like, yeah, he's like, that kid won't be back. And I was like, wow.
Look, I'm just trying to put myself in this kid's shoes. Okay. So he says, hey, Dr. So-and-so, I have this amazing pen to write your notes in, right? And Dr. So-and-so down the street uses it. What on earth? I could just try to picture this kid standing there telling this doctor, oh, Dr. Smith, I know Dr. So-and-so down the street. Oh, he uses this. It's great. You got to use it. He uses it. I can't imagine when the doctor right in front of him picks up the phone, calls so-and-so, and he goes, I mean, like, I wish I could have been there to hold the phone and say, oh, you don't use it? Really? Where are you getting your source from? And then to tell the kid right there, like, did he tell you what the kid said after the doctor? Like,
yeah. So the kid basically said, well, my VPs told me this. These are the names that my VPs gave me. Poor kid, he's relying on the company to give him the good information. And here's the thing, Cindy, we probably would believe that, but wouldn't you want to see something in writing? Wouldn't you want to see the data that the doctors are like providing for the device or the product or whatever it is that you're selling? Wouldn't you want to like at least know, well, what are their thoughts on it? I mean, before you just start touting off. And the other thing is this, why wouldn't you do your homework as the rep to know, hey, this doctor might know those doctors. So let me verify that part of this information just because. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go and say something that my doctor, my customers might know these guys. I mean, it's all part of the sales cycle. You always, yes, sure, we can use doctors to play off of one another. Well, Dr. So-and-so uses it, but you better be darn sure that you have that information correct. Because if you're not, it's going to make you look like an idiot. And this poor kid looked like it.
And there's so many things that you said in there. And I think this is what we'll take our time in this episode to break down, because this story could be real. And even what you just said, oh, my VP said this. Well, if you think about the kid, maybe this wasn't a blatant lie. Maybe he wasn't just naming things, but maybe the conversation from the VPs were, hey, we're going to meet with these doctors, or we're going to introduce to these doctors. Like, maybe he didn't have the whole story. So I think it's important. Let's start just kind of diving into why would this happen? Okay, so you've got this rep who is going out there saying something without validated information. So why would a rep do this?
Yeah, well, in his case, he's young, right? He's brand new in the company. So I think the pressure, and I mean, I know this just from being new in companies and when I was younger, and you as well, the pressure to be a high performer, to hit your number, to be well known. You want to be like all those tenured reps. I mean, it's like so much pressure. And you feel, especially when you're younger or newer in the medical device industry, that you need to build this up. You need to build your character up by name dropping or by whatever it is, building your connections within your physicians. So I think that's probably one of the things, is to really try and impress, your customers really quickly so that you look good.
Exactly. There's a lot of pressure to do that. So then I guess maybe like an expansion of what you're saying, it's more like a temptation to borrow credibility from somebody else. If you think about this particular situation, it wasn't until he was in the defensive mode and had to answer as to where this came from that he said, my VPs. If you almost take that same situation and you're speaking to the doctor about this brand new device, the conversation was too oh, this doctor uses it. Being able to say, in speaking with my VPs, they're
Hmm.
having conversations with doctors.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, but
You
just
know
to
what that
me,
reminds me of?
what?
Sorry. You
No.
know what reps will do is they'll like exaggerate. It's like,
Yes.
oh, like you have a new product coming. You have an awesome product coming, but you know that it's not coming for like another 6 to 12 months. You want to get the doctors buy-in and get them to start using you now. So you're like, guess what? It's right around the corner. When you know for darn sure it's not right around the corner. And it's like over promising something. You're not being truthful. You're not being fully open and honest. And you're right, Cindy, if that conversation had instead sounded like this, my VPs are building the relationships with these physicians who I know and they are in discussions with trialing the product, the whole conversation would have been completely different. Such a good
Totally
point.
different.
You're such a good point, Cindy.
Yes. And I also think, just to bring one more point as to why this would even happen, is something you touched on at the very beginning. He's very new. So, lack
Mm,
of experience and not that is, I want to point this out because if you are new, physicians, they know everybody. They may be on one side of the country or they may be in another country.
mm-hmm.
When you have a specialty, it's formed a bond. I mean, if any of you have ever been a sorority or a fraternity, you have brothers across the country and sisters as well. And so sometimes you have a tie together of you go to conferences, medical conferences in your specialty. Maybe you're neuro and you speak with the other
Great point.
neurosurgeons and neurologists. Physicians really are close with all those others in their specialty. That's where they focus. So
Yeah.
again, if you're new, your temptation is to borrow
Mm-hmm.
credibility from somebody else and lack of understanding. All that would be why it happens. But okay, so now we know why, Lisa. What is at stake? Like, what
Yeah.
is at stake if we do this? If you spread misinformation, where does that lead you in this industry?
Well, that poor buddy was kicked out and probably never coming back. I mean, I don't know. I never saw him again. Kind of feel bad for him. But listen, again, it like the physician said to me, it is an honor and a privilege to do this job.
Ah,
And you need to take this so like you need to understand the levity of that, right? So when you don't and you either give them misinformation, you mislead them, you flat out lie to them, they're going to see right through you and you lose all credibility, Cindy. I mean, that trustworthy, that honesty, that loyalty, all those partnerships out the window. Everything goes out the window, and you are now labeled as a used car salesman. Sorry, but you are. And they're probably not going to invite you back. And I'll tell you what, you and I talked about this in another episode, but it's funny. Physicians have memories like elephants. They
you're
don't
very
forget
smart.
things, right? And so you may have done this 10 years ago. You may have been that old new rep 10 years ago, and now here you are again 10 years later, circling back with that same physician. You can rest assured that they're going to remember. They're not going to forget. It's not a great mistake to make. It really isn't. It's one that I think, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this, but like, how do you come back from that mistake? That's really important. So let's make sure that we talk about that, Cindy, because I think you can, but it would be great to like not even make the mistake.
So you and I think along the same lines because I was literally just going to say we talk about making mistakes. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about things happen and how you overcome them. This mistake is one that you may not ever come back from.
Yeah.
This is where because it's not a mistake in what you're saying, it's falsifying credibility. It's a way of permanently closing doors. It also reflects on your reputation because think about this. You're saying something so profound, it's a character flaw on you. It's not oh, she made a mistake, oh, she missed something, or we're going to get past this, or keep showing up because we all make mistakes. We are all
Mm-hmm.
human. This one to me seems intentional, even if it's not. So if you're new, we're telling you this because we don't want you to be naive because you may think, oh, just because I heard it from somebody, it's okay. It is very much not okay. Very
Yeah.
much not okay.
Yeah. I think at this point, the only thing you can do is apologize to the physician and just say, you know what? My bad. I took a word or I took this out of context or own up to your mistake that you misspoke, misled, and you're going to probably have to work really hard to get back in that physician's good graces. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But, think about it too. You're talking about this one conversation he had with this physician in one hospital. Well, what do you think word gets around? If the one doctor calls the
Oh,
other doctor, I mean, it's this
absolutely.
domino effect of
Ripple
everywhere
effect.
that will follow you in your career. I
100%.
believe that story, no
Yeah.
matter, say he switches jobs, say it's 10 years from now, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe he can have a relationship with that doctor and joke in years later to say, okay, here's the doctors I personally called myself. I knew this. This
Yeah.
is what they specifically told me. I
Yeah.
have it on record for you.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
ready to speak to you. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
in some ways you can come back very adamant, but it would take a very long time. And why do that? Like, we are here to shortcut your career. We want
Mhm.
all of you to do the right things and not think something like this is okay.
Yeah. All right. So what's our secret? Because I think it's about time to reveal our secret before we move forward. So do you want to say it?
Yes. So our secret rhymes today. Okay. I always think it's good to know a rhyme.
Yeah.
We want you to verify before you amplify. So you better be all your facts stamped, validated, verify the information that you're actually being given before you then go broadcast it to anybody. And if you take our little secret in your hands, you will never lose trust in 30 seconds. You will build a long career instead.
I love it. All right. So what are best practices for verifying information? I mean, what, you and I kind of already talked about this, but you
Yes.
need to always double check your sources wherever you're pulling your information from. If you're touting data, you probably should have the data on you highlighted with the specifics. Let's not just put a bunch of numbers out there and assume that you memorize them correctly. You really need to know them all the way. And that's with trials, that's with, clinical trials, all that kind of stuff. And company releases as well. That goes alongside, companies make releases all the time on different things, changes of leadership, changes in manufacturing, products, product releases, all that kind of thing. You better have that information down pat and probably print it out so that if a physician questions it, which they probably will, you now have the data to show them, hey, this is actually what was shown to me or printed for me or given to me, whatever it is. But I think you have to verify it, right? That's one way to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
So true. And the second best practice is something you mentioned early on. And that's when, like, if senior leadership is talking about something or telling you something, you need to ask for documentation or proof before repeating, because there's a lot of things
Mm,
that maybe they're excited, maybe something's coming, and then all of a sudden, last minute, something got pulled back, or maybe you heard a detail wrong. When you have it documented, you can read it, you can see it, you can speak to it, and then you have something to pass on. So if you're ever in doubt, ask before you go tell.
yeah. And you should verify regardless. And so here's another one. And I'm thinking about this is so let's just take this kid for the example again, right?
Mhm.
The VP said this to him. So he heard that these doctors were using it. It could be a conversation that could have gone, and you and I said this already, but let's just reiterate it. I was having discussions with my senior leadership, and they mentioned that Dr. So and so and Dr. So and so might be interested in this product as well. I'll circle back and see if they've trialed the product. There you go.
What
That's
a
simple,
difference.
right?
Like,
That's like so
that's a
different than saying they're using it right now?
And you know what I
Um,
love too is what was so important about what you just said. You didn't just say, "Oh, I've heard them talking." You made it a point to be a continual conversation. Every time we're in sales, we're
good
looking
point.
for that lead, we're looking for that open-ended question, we're looking for a reason to come back. And the way you worded that about confirming that you're going to circle back gives you an opportunity to circle back and
Yeah,
say, "Hey, remember
as a
that
sales call.
discussion? I have some more information for you if you'd like to hear." So I think that's huge. I think
You're
the
right.
fourth best practice that I just also want to drive home is to be comfortable saying, "I don't know, but I will find
Mm,
out." I think that statement alone is showing integrity because
yeah,
not everybody knows everything. And maybe a doctor asks you something you think you know most about, and you can speak to say, "Well, this may be what I know of this, but let me find the answer for you. Let me get back to you," because that shows you're going to come back with facts that are what? Are secret. They're verified. You want
verified.
to verify before you amplify.
Yeah, that's so important. You're exactly right. And so how do you build the credibility the right way? Well, what we just discussed, these best practices, making sure you're doing these things. I think the constant follow-up, like you just said, Cindy, if it is something that you don't know 100%, then now you have another sales call, which is great, but you're also showing follow-up. Be knowledgeable, right? Know as much as you can about something before you just open your mouth. Don't know 50% of it. Know 100% of it. I mean, if you read an article and you're like, gosh, this is really interesting. I think Dr. Smith would love this information. Well, why don't you read it first, understand it first, maybe even bounce it off a colleague, and then go use it in your sales call. Because I think sometimes you may think it's like a huge deal and maybe it's not, and you can tend to exaggerate. And that
Hmm.
also then looks like you're lying. There is no shortcuts in medical devices. There should be no shortcuts, period. But there's really no shortcuts in medical devices. There's no shortcuts in medicine. Physicians have
No,
gone to school for 11, 12, 13 years. They're not shortcutting their way. So you can't shortcut your way. And I think that really shows them that you respect them and they will respect you when you're delivering that information.
100%. When you position yourself as being resourceful instead of rumorful,
Oh,
then
good. Yeah.
then that's huge, right? I am really excited that while somebody may think this was quite a simple conversation, it is so important. And I think the story that Lisa shared, it happened, like it's real. And if you're ever tempted, we just wanted you to understand as we look back to kind of summarize this conversation. We just talked why it would happen and the pressure and the credibility. But we also talked then again about the stakes. The stakes, what is at stake if you do this? And the best practices to avoid this. Always double check with your sources, 1,000%, and being credible. So I think to wrap everything up, what I'm trying to say is we don't want you to lose your business in 30 seconds ever. And we don't want your career to end that quickly. And it won't if you verify before you amplify. If you know that credibility is more valuable than charisma. And if you lose a doctor's trust, it's not just your reputation, it's your entire future career. So I'd like to leave with a call to action.
Ooh, I
And,
love your call to action.
or unless Lisa, do you want to do a call to
No,
action?
you're really good at it. You
Okay.
go for it.
So I would think our call to action today would be the next time you want to repeat something you heard, pause and ask yourself, do I know this for certain? Or am I just hoping this to be true? Just that 1 second.
That was awesome, Cindy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again to another episode of Secrets in Medical Device Sales. We love hearing from you guys. Our subscribers are growing. This is just becoming such an awesome thing for us to do with you guys every week. So keep writing into us. Keep telling us your stories, your questions, your career decisions. We love talking about this stuff, and we will keep sharing all our tips and tricks for becoming a high performer.